Max Comedy, The Funniest Kid in America, illustrated by Steve Adams. Max Carmody wants to enter a contest in which the funniest kid in America will be chosen. He calls himself Max Comedy and makes an audition video that includes a laugh track, or so he thinks. Weeks later, Max is invited to audition live for the competition in Chicago. His stepfather, Mario, a big rig driver, is unable to take him to the contest. Instead, Dr. Carmody and Ellen Plunkett, Max's parents, take him. His stepsister, Olivia, and his best friend, Maud, go along to support Max. The group has gotten lost and is running very late on the way from Bartonville, Ohio, to Chicago. Max wonders if they'll make it in time for his scheduled performance. "The highway!" cried Max. Filthy and sopping wet, his father jumped back behind the wheel and threw the car in gear. "Hang in there, kid! I told you would make it!" As they jounced along the dirt road, the Volvo became the scene of the kind of mathematical calculations that normally took place only in physics labs. It was 11 o'clock. The Balsam Auditorium was 240 miles away. "Which means," Max concluded excitedly, "if we go 80, we'll make it just in time for the 2 o'clock start." "You can't go 80 on a dirt road," Dr. Carmody called back from the driver's seat. "You can't go 80 on any road," amended his ex-wife sternly. "We can slow to 50 on the unpaved portion," Maud agreed, expertly crunching numbers in her head. "If we bump it up to 85 once we hit the interstate." At that moment the Volvo's tires jumped from the rutted mud and stones onto a bumpy but paved 2-lane farm route. "This is better. How fast can we go here?" "At least 70, put in Max. "No!" stormed Ellen Plunkett. "We'll drive the speed limit and get there late, but in one piece." "Come on, Ellen," coaxed Dr. Carmody. "This is a big day for Max. We've got a chance to make it." No sooner had the words crossed his lips than steam began billowing up from under the Volvo's hood. Dr. Carmody pulled over to the shoulder and rushed around in the front of the car. The hot blast burned his hands as he threw open the hood. "Yow!" "Jack, are you all right?" cried Max's mother in alarm. "I'm fine, but the radiator isn't," her ex-husband moaned. "It's fixable, right?" Max called out the window. "Can you fix it?" His father drew a deep breath. "A mechanic can, in about 3 hours." "No!" Oh boy, Mrs. Plunkett looked around. They were absolutely in the middle of nowhere. The only break in the trees and scrub, the only indication that the area was even inhabited, was a single faded sign: Coldwater, 5, Van Wert, 41, Chicago, 238. Olivia looked at Maud in awe. "You're right, bad things really do happen to you." "To her?" Max was practically hysterical. "To her? What about to me? Comedy is my whole life. I'm nothing without it. And finally, even though I live in a town where everybody thinks I stink and my dreams are stupid, I get a chance to prove myself. And where am I when my date with destiny rolls around? Freezing in the rain in a ditch outside Coldwater, Ohio." His parents exchanged an unhappy glance. Ellen Plunkett and Jack Carmody didn't agree on much, but it pained them to see their son so crestfallen. Even Maud had no comment. Then, "Coldwater, Ohio?" Olivia repeated. "Isn't that the town where the manure spreader was invented?" "That's right!" Max grasped at the information like a drowning man clinging to a life preserver. "Mario passes here all the time. Wasn't he supposed to come through today?" There was a frantic cell phone conversation, and Mrs. Plunkett delivered the news. "He'll be here in 45 minutes." Max jumped up and down like a madman, pumping his fists in the air. "Yes, yes, yes! Way to go, Mario! You're my man!" To his father he added, embarrassed. "And you too, Dad. Thanks for, getting us this far." Dr. Carmody ruffled his son's unruly hair. "I hope you make it, Max." It was going to be close. They would be late, there was no question about that. And a big rig like Mario's wouldn't be able to drive as fast as Dr. Carmody's Volvo. But if they could just get to the Balsam Auditorium before the contest ended at 5 o'clock, Max could explain what had happened, and maybe the judges would let him go on last. It was a slim chance, but the only one he had. It was after 1 when Mario's 18-wheeler roared up the 2-lane farm road to the incapacitated Volvo. Dr. Carmody had to stay to wait for the tow truck. Mrs. Plunkett, Max, Maud, and Olivia wished him goodbye and good luck. There wasn't enough room in the cab for all 5 of them, so it was decided that Mrs. Plunkett and Olivia would ride up front with Mario. Max and Maud were relegated to the cheap seats in the refrigerated trailer with the cargo. Mario led them around the back and opened the big cargo door. The container was piled high with boxes. "There's no room," Max protested. "Just wedge yourself between the cartons and hold on tight," Mario advised cheerfully. He tossed his stepson a flashlight. "It's dark with the door closed." "It's freezing back here," Maud complained. "By the time we get to Chicago, we'll be in suspended animation." "There's no extra charge for the air conditioning," grinned Mario, and he slammed the door and latched it, leaving them in the chilly blackness. A moment later they heard the roar of the motor and the truck began to move. Max switched on the flashlight and played the beam over the piled cartons. "I wonder what this stuff is. It just says perishable on the side." "I hope that doesn't mean us," sniffed Maud. "I feel like I'm going to perish any minute." They found a stack of tarpaulins and each took one to use as a blanket against the chill air. "Mario drives me nuts," Max confessed, "but I don't think I've ever been so happy to see anybody." He closed his eyes and concentrated on the motion of the trailer, trying to estimate their speed. Could the 18-wheeler go fast enough? It would be a tragedy beyond words to go through all this and still miss the contest. Max wasn't a very patient car passenger in the best of circumstances. His nervousness and the cold and discomfort of the truck combined to make the time creep along agonizingly slow. His act played itself out again and again in his head, the jokes rattling painfully around his brain, and it didn't help to have to listen to the rustling and shuffling of Maud fidgeting under her tarpaulin. "Quit it," Max complained. "I'm uncomfortable too, okay? This isn't exactly my idea of first-class travel." Her jerky movements only grew more exaggerated. "That's not it. I'm itchy." "It's all in your head," Max explained patiently. "No, I itch all over." "Cut it out." But when Max shone his flashlight beam at his best friend, he saw that her face was covered in bright red blotches. "Maud, you're breaking out." "Oh, no," she cried. "I'm allergic to the truck." "No one can be allergic to a truck," argued Max. "Not even you." "But," Maud leaped to her feet, "what's in these boxes?" She ripped the nearest one open. It was packed with cherries! Max stared. There must have been 1,000 cherries in that one case alone. He looked around, mentally multiplying by the dozens. No, hundreds of cartons. "I'm allergic to cherries. I've got to get out of here." Crawling all over the cargo, Maud made her frantic way to the back and yanked on the latch to the cargo door. Max grabbed her from behind and wrestled her away. "Are you crazy? What are you going to do, jump out of a speeding truck into 4 lanes of oncoming traffic?" "But there's enough cherries in here to kill me 50 times." She pushed her way to the front of the container and began pounding against the wall. "Stop the truck!" Out of options, Max joined her. "Mario!" he yelled. "Mom! We've got a problem!" "They can't hear us," lamented Maud. She picked a crowbar up off the floor and started banging with that. "Careful," Max admonished. "If you dent the trailer, they might make Mario pay for the damage." "Who's going to pay for the damage to me?" wailed Maud. "Help! Help!" She reared back for one monster blow, but instead delivered the home run swing to the container's refrigeration unit. Thwack! The heavy metal ripped the hose clear off the compressor. Dense white mist hissed out of it, filling up the trailer like a fog. Up front in the cab, Olivia was the first to notice the blinking red warning light on the dashboard. "What's that, Daddy?" Uh-oh, said Mario. Refrigeration failure. He pulled over to the shoulder and jumped out, hurrying to the passenger side to help his wife and daughter down from the big rig. The three rushed to the back of the trailer. Mario unhooked the latch and rolled up the cargo door. A dense cloud of escaped refrigerant billowed out, followed by two coughing sixth graders. "Maude!" cried Olivia with relief. "You're okay." "I'm fine too, thanks," muttered Max, jumping to the road. "Remember me, your brother?" Mario helped Maude out of the truck. Mrs. Plunkett stared in alarm at the fire engine red rash on Maude's face. "Maude, what happened to you?" "Cherries!" Maude spat. "Millions of them! I'm lucky to be alive." Waving his arms to dispel the mist, Mario climbed into the trailer and snaked his way back between the stacks of boxes. No wonder the cooler's leaking. The hose is detached. Did it just pop off clean like that? "Kind of," admitted Max, "when Maude hit it with a crowbar." "Well, I had to get your attention," Maude explained to Mario. "I was trying to bang on the wall, but I missed." Mario squinted through the fog at the blotches on Maude's face. "It could happen to anybody," he said dubiously. "Not anybody," Olivia corrected proudly. "Just Maude." Her father swallowed hard. "We're just glad you're okay." "What about the cherries?" Max's mother asked in concern. "With the refrigeration unit on the fritz, won't they go bad?" Her husband looked thoughtful. "Not necessarily."